There is only one stage where a poker player can really make their mark, where intensity,
What are you doing?
drama, and exhilaration are all part and parcel of the experience. Tournament poker, where dreams are realized and stars are born.
There's no right or wrong way to play poker. There's not one method that will guarantee success, but there are ways and means for you to maximize your chances of winning. There are good habits and bad habits. There are situations to avoid and situations to seek. And there are those who have the knowledge to exploit them. We're going to teach you how to master the game, from the basics to the advanced.
So we've learnt the basics, which hands you should play and throw away. We've learnt the importance of position, and in the last show took our first look at the art form that is bluffing. Time to put what you've learnt into action. Let's focus on tournament poker, where you can turn $5 into a cool million or more. Tournament poker can make heroes of men or women. Throw in the odd villain, and you've got regular sporting theatre. In today's show, we're going to arm you with some tips for your first tournament. We'll find out what it's like to win the big one, and we'll give you some pointers for the best places to spend your buy-in. This show looks at poker played all over the world, but on our travels today, we drop in on the Bahamas, where we find out that poker requires more than just mental fitness. And we'll be back in Barcelona, where we hear the tournaments preferred by Barbero, Jorgensen, Paris and Negrano. Okay, enough of that. Let's kick off with a short tutorial.
Tournament poker is how most people hone and develop their poker skills. The difference between tournament poker and cash game poker is that every person wishing to enter the tournament pays the same amount of money up front in exchange for a predetermined amount of chips. When the player loses their chips, they are out. Tournament poker can involve 1 to 1,000 tables. In fact, there are a variety of games you can play: one table, two table, deep stack, turbo, multi-table. But we'll cover more of those later. You have the option to play live or online, where you'll find the tournaments with the most entrants. Because the top spots are so well paid, tournament poker is much more intense than cash game poker. And if you can learn how to master it, it will lead you to this. But maybe not yet. It's a great way to learn the game of Texas Hold'em, and a lot of fun along the way. So that's how a poker tournament works. But let's take a look at some of the biggest in history.
People often find themselves asking, what is it that has made this game of poker such a worldwide phenomenon, given so many people fame and fortune, and become the game that people want to play when they pick up a pack of cards? Playing in a poker tournament can involve ludicrous sums of money, with the winners being written into the history books. Tournaments are growing in size all the time, with consistently larger fields, entrance fees and cash prizes. The European Poker Tour is now widely recognised as the foremost poker tour on the planet. The tour travels to the prettiest parts of the continent, from the white slopes of Austria to the beautiful beaches of Barcelona. Founded by John Duthie, the tour continues to grow in both size and prestige, with prize pools reaching up to €8.5 million. Other prestigious tours include the Asia Pacific Poker Tour, which has been a huge success across Asia, with the ever-increasing prize pools enticing poker players from around the globe to pack their bags and explore some exotic locations such as Sydney, Macau and Manila. And last but certainly not least, the Latin American Poker Tour, which began in 2008 and promises to keep on growing, as playing for multi-million-dollar prize pools in cities such as Sao Paulo and Rio is enough to attract anyone. The LAPT Tour now encompasses the PokerStars Caribbean adventure, which is the second largest poker festival on the circuit, one that professionals mark on their calendars as soon as it's announced. It's hard to determine what we measure when calling a tournament big. Here are a few of the biggest to get your teeth around. Firstly, the most influential. The most famous and influential tournament in history is obviously that of the 2003 World Series of Poker main event, where Chris Moneymaker from Tennessee turned a $39 investment into a $2.5 million win in his first ever live tournament. That win set the tournament ball rolling, with everyone and his dog believing that could be me.
It really took off and poker obviously exploded, and I got the credit for a lot of that.
What else can be big? The entrance fee. As well as winning a lot of money, some people pay an earth-shattering amount just to play. High roller events are getting higher and higher all the time, with the Aussie Millions 2011 Super High Roller being the first $250,000 event, with 20 people putting down the price of a house. Eric Seidel made good use of his investment, taking the title and the $2.5 million prize money. Is it a numbers game? Number of entrants. It makes sense that the less the tournament costs, the more can afford to enter. This was certainly true for the PokerStars Sunday Storm in March 2011. There were 113,770 entrants that paid the $11 for a shot at the $1 million guaranteed prize pool. That's more people that live in Monaco, Liechtenstein and St Kitts and Nevis put together. And last but definitely not least, cash prize. The biggest ever tournament win is that of Jamie Gold at the 2006 World Series of Poker main event, when he won a staggering $12 million from an $82 million prize pool, the largest in poker history. That's enough to buy over 48,000 pairs of Joe Hashem sunglasses. So, as you can see, there are many ways to measure a big tournament, but whichever way you look at it, they're only going to get bigger.
Let's look at some of the different types of tournament format available to you. Time for some terminology. Sit and go. A sit and go is a type of tournament normally found online where once a specified number of seats are filled, usually seated around a single table, play begins. Play doesn't normally last much more than 1 hour, and the top 2 or 3 spots are normally paid. Rebuy. To rebuy is to buy back into a tournament after losing all your chips. In a rebuy tournament, there is a set period of time when a player is able to purchase more chips once they have lost them. Depending on the game, that can be anywhere between 1 and an unlimited amount of times. In these tournaments, expect aggressive play within this rebuy period as players try to amass lots of chips. Free roll. A free roll is a tournament that is free to enter. Yeah, that's right, free. Free rolls usually have cash prizes as well as possible entry into other tournaments and are a great way for a player to build experience and possibly a bankroll. Deep stack. A deep stack tournament is one where all players start with a larger than usual amount of chips in comparison to the size of the blinds. A deep stack tournament is said to favor the more experienced player as they last longer, and playing more hands means the luck element is reduced. Turbo. A turbo tournament is one where the levels of blinds and antes increase at a higher speed. Players generally play much more aggressively in turbo tournaments as there is no time to wait around for nice hands. Short-handed. Short-handed tournaments are those that contain fewer players at any given table than you would expect in a normal game. When there are fewer players at the table, there is generally more action, with players choosing to play a wider range of hands than usual. Satellite. A satellite is a tournament in which the winners receive entry into another tournament with a higher entry fee. Satellite tournaments are a great way of turning a tiny investment into a big payday.
When it comes to European tournaments, there are few players with a better record than Luca Pagano, so let's find out one of the secrets to his success.
It's very important to be able to keep the focus on the game. So when you are gonna get break, tournament break or dinner break, up to you guys, but try to find a way to don't relax too much. It's very important to keep a very high concentration for the day long of the tournament. Remember that just one mistake can mean to be eliminated, so always.
Now, take heed of Luca's advice and stay focused for the second tutorial of today's show.
When you enter your first tournament, make sure that it's the right tournament for you. Before you register, look out for a couple of things. What's the buy-in? Don't play in tournaments you can't afford. You need to feel as comfortable as you can, so don't put more pressure on yourself by risking too much. What kind of tournament is it? Earlier we told you about turbos, deep stacks, and other tournament variations. Bear this in mind before you register to any tourney. And now how to play. You want to be able to be patient and wait for good starting hands. Sit back and take your time. Try to keep building your stacks slowly and surely. Steal blinds when you can, and only build huge pots if you're very confident that you have the best hand. Always keep track of your stack size in relation to the blinds. If you have over 25 big blinds, you're quite comfortable. When you have 10 big blinds or less, you're in all-in or fold territory. A standard raise will commit a lot of your chips, you might as well go all in. So keep it simple. If you cash, great, but your first tourney should be about gaining experience. If you want to learn more about poker, go to PokerStars.com.
Almost time for a break, but just before we go, a question. In the 2010 World Series of Poker main event, there were 7,319 entrants. But how many players competed in the 1971 main event? We'll give you the answer after the break. Welcome back. Before the break, we asked you how many players entered the 1971 World Series of Poker main event. The answer is 6, all circled here. The victor that day was Johnny Moss, who took home $30,000, tiny in comparison to the $8,944,000 taken home by the 2010 winner, Jonathan Duhamel.
Winning the main event is the fantasy for any budding poker player. It's an experience very few ever realize, but those that do, remember it forever.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
2005 was my first World Series.
These two men share a bond through an experience that all poker players dream of. They both know how it feels to win the biggest tournament on the poker calendar, the World Series of Poker main event. But when they first arrived in Vegas, it seemed a million miles away.
When I went to Vegas for my first WSOP, I was really in awe of the whole experience. It was so surreal. I'd never seen so many poker players or so many poker tables in the one place. And I guess it was overwhelming for me initially.
I remember walking up to my seat where I was assigned to sit about 5 hours before the tournament started, and gave it a little rub, gave it a little touch for luck, and the guy saw me doing that, and it's like, this must be your first World Series, and I said, yep.
I looked around and I said, wow, am I really here? What am I doing here? And then something came over me and I kind of like slapped myself out of it, and I said, you know what, shut up, sit down and play.
And play they did. But as the days passed, it wasn't all plain sailing on the way to the final table.
I was down to like 45,000 in chips, which at that point was pretty low, and I was crippled mentally and emotionally. And I walked outside, called my wife, and told her I'll be coming home soon, and then really had to clear my head and get focused again, because I did still have a chance. I mean, we were getting closer to the money. We came back on break, and I won my first couple hands out of the gate and kept going in the right direction. And I never took a hit again in the tournament.
Sure, the anticipation and the excitement built every day. The one thing that protected me was that I didn't look too far ahead. I just wanted to get through the day and have some chips and come back tomorrow and play some more.
Making the money was achievement enough for some, but for these guys, they began to want more.
Once we made the money, dude, I was the happiest guy you've ever seen. I mean, we got paid $21,000 for making the money. That was life-changing money for me. That was huge. So you can imagine what happens 2.5 million later.
When we closed up shop and we were at 27 players at the end of day 5, I remember 27 guaranteed me like 440,000, and just by coincidence, my mortgage was 400,000. So I rang my wife up and I told her, honey, look, you know, I guess we're not going to have a mortgage when I get back. And we both started crying on the phone. That was my most emotional moment of the whole 7 days.
Thoughts turned into reality, and both players went on to achieve the impossible and realize every poker player's dream, to win the big one.
I remember specifically when Danneman called my all-in on the turn, and I had him drawing to 3 outs to tie. He couldn't win, and the crowd erupted.
There you have it, Joseph Hashim stands alone.
I just fist pumped the air with both hands.
The moment that the card hit, I remember yelling, I remember hugging my dad and him being there, and that was a special moment, and the whole tournament was just very special. That week was incredible.
As I walked into the bathroom, I saw my image in the mirror. I looked at myself, and that's when the emotions ran a bit wild, and I realised what I'd accomplished. You know, I realised that then my life had been changed forever.
Almost a decade on from Chris Moneymaker's inspiring story first hitting our TV sets, these familiar faces continue to be great ambassadors for poker. And the secret behind their success?
One of the key things in tournament poker is survival. Just don't give up, and as long as you have chips, you're still in the game.
I totally believe that patience and discipline are the two most important, critically important ingredients that you need to be successful, especially when you're starting out.
One decision can send you home. Even though you started playing at noon, you got to make the correct decision at 10 p.m. just as you would at noon.
The discipline to sit there and wait, sit there and fold hands that you shouldn't be playing, that's what makes heroes. That's what makes winners.
Thanks, guys. That was emotional. But how do you concentrate for hours or days without making mistakes? Well, here's today's final tutorial to clear it up.
Not all poker players are fine physical specimens with bulging biceps and strong chiseled jawlines, but some players make a point of staying in shape, not only because of the media spotlight, but because they realize the direct correlation between physical fitness and playing well after long sessions of poker. To have long-term success in poker, you have to be tough, both mentally and physically. Endurance is key. Mentally, you need to stay aware of what's going on around you, and feeling tired or fatigued isn't going to help matters. Barring a few exceptions, many recent tournament winners have been young and active. And as much as some players might attribute this to the changing face of the game, the high entry numbers these days make for longer tournaments. And this is bound to favor the younger, fitter players. Is it essential to be in good physical shape? No, but it certainly helps. Not everyone can play into their 70s like Doyle Brunson, but those that can attribute it to good preparation and a healthy lifestyle. So stay fit and focused, hydrated and relaxed. Just be wary of the masseuse bill.
If you want to watch the show again, recap previous episodes, or join the series at a more advanced level, then go to everythingpoker.com.
So being in shape can definitely help your game. Everything Poker stumbled across 3 of the game's shooting stars who happened to be testing each other's fitness on a beach in the Bahamas. So we decided to roll the cameras.
Being a poker player is not only about being smart and being mentally fit. You also got to be physically in shape, just like the 3 of us. Now let's find out who's the fittest.
This is the fitness challenge.
First up, press-ups.
Matthias de Mulder. This Belgian's won over $140,000, but claims he'd exchange it all to win this.
Let's go.
Okay, that was 11. I'm gonna go for 4.
Flying Dutchman, Ruben Visser, has won over $300,000 and puts it all down to his daily 10-hour workout.
This should be an easy game, guys.
Twin brother Matthias, Christoph de Mulder, told us that he and Matthias think and look the same, but he has the strength of a panda. Let's see.
Am I done? Now it's time to do some sit-ups. Let's go. 30, I think, right?
Hey, man, but there's a muscle here hurting you pretty badly.
Sit-ups. How can you beat that? That was like super fast.
It's time to extend the lead.
You're going down.
I got this.
Go!
Twins, got nothing on me.
Congratulations to Christoph.
I just got a heart attack.
Or was it Ruben? Not sure. Sport is the real winner. On with the show.
Almost time to hear which tournaments the pros prefer, but just before that, a quick question. If you combined all the prize pools from Season 7 of the EPT, including high roller events, in terms of euros, what would the grand total be? We'll give you the answer after this powwow.
From the glitz of Monte Carlo to the beaches of the Bahamas and the grandeur of London, poker truly is a worldwide game. The days when you could only find a good tournament in Las Vegas are long gone. Continental poker tours are on the rise. But what are the best tournaments to play? In sunny Barcelona, we asked for the game's best tournament players which tournaments have a special place in their hearts. Nacho Barbero, the Argentinian who won back-to-back LAPT tournaments. EPT winner and English starlet Liv Boré, Danish bracelet winner and WPT title holder Theo Jorgensen, and the highest earning tournament player of all time, Daniel Negreanu, was in attendance.
I've been playing tournaments for a long time, obviously, like mostly in the US. One of the things in the last few years that I really enjoyed is traveling overseas and playing a lot of these EPTs, because people don't realize, I think, like how many beautiful spots we're at. I mean, like, do you have a favorite spot on the EPT that you like to go to?
This is basically my
Barcelona?
favorite.
Me too.
I love Barcelona. The atmosphere and the culture is so different from EPT San Remo, Italy to Spain to France.
The LAPT, you obviously play some of those. Like, is there a difference in skill level, do you think, between the LAPTs and the rest? Is it a little juicier, like a little more value?
A tournament with more value is one with weaker players. Basically, a tournament you are more likely to win.
Yeah, I think there is like way more value in South America than here. And the locations are really good on the LAPT, so it's kind of fun, so you can go.
If there's one spot on the LAPT that you'd recommend that I definitely check out, which one would it be?
I would say Costa Rica was fun. It's a beautiful country with like so much green and like beautiful beaches.
The rainforest, you know. What about you? I mean, you're new to like traveling the world a little bit, and like, is there other spots that you are dear to your heart?
Obviously San Remo.
Ah, I wonder why. She happened to win that one.
She didn't just win any tourney. Liv took down the San Remo leg of the European Poker Tour in Season 6, which, with 1,240 entrants, is the biggest live tournament ever held in Europe.
Yeah,
that was a juicy tournament, right?
Yeah, it was a juicy tournament. It was just beautiful, beautiful location. The people were lovely. Yeah, highly recommend that. Where else? I went to the PCA, the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure in Bahamas, which was, I mean, the hotel's incredible. And it's such a nice spot to go to in January.
That's become a monster now.
Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to going there to see how good it is compared to the World Series.
PCA is one of the toughest events, I think, because it gets all the online grinders.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, there are so many better players, but the thing is like I talked about this before, is that because, you know, it's a pretty deep stack structure, a lot of the young players who are playing it, they don't have much experience playing that type of structure. They're usually used to playing, you know, like turbo style things. So they make some errors in the deeper stacked events too.
And they're also very inexperienced at playing live.
Yeah, I mean, handling the chips. And
there's all this, and you're like, aha.
So there's two sides of the coin there. For me, I mean, I've always been dear to the $50,000 event at the World Series of Poker. I still haven't won an EPT either. You know, came close, but no cigar.
For me, it'd be the EPT Grand Final. To me, it's so prestigious.
How about you? What's near and dear to your heart?
I would say that one as well, or if I could win on my home turf in Copenhagen would be pretty cool.
Theo came close to winning an EPT title in his hometown of Copenhagen, finishing 4th in 2007.
Well, I mean, whatever it is, the good news is if you're a poker player and you're traveling the circuit, you have options. It doesn't matter where you're from anymore. There's so many beautiful places to see in the world, and we're really lucky to like live the lives we lead and do that, and you know, it doesn't suck.
Just before the powwow, we asked if you combined all the prize pools from Season 7 of the EPT, including high roller events, what would the grand total be? And the answer is 60,314,531 euros. If you guessed correctly, well, you're amazing. If you worked it out, well, I don't believe you. Anyway, let's review what we've learned today.
We looked at how a poker tournament works and how to approach your first few. We checked out the various poker tours and tournaments on offer around the world and picked up a couple of useful tips along the way. We also found out just what it's like to achieve poker's ultimate accolade and take home the biggest tournament of them all. And finally, we looked at what it takes to stay focused during the long sessions of tournament play.
To practice all you've learned in the show today, go to PokerStars.com. Once on the site, this week's task is to enter some free roll tournaments. It'll give you a taste of tournament play and the patience and discipline you need to succeed. If you follow the advice from today's show and earlier episodes, you may be surprised at the good results.
Coming up next time, we dedicate the first of 2 shows to the art of betting. Why to bet, how much to bet, and when you should just throw them away. There will be analysis from Daniel Negreanu and Joe Hashem. Some more priceless pro tips, and you can't afford to miss our guide to folding. It's an important topic, ladies and gents. Make sure you tune in. This is the greatest game on earth. Let's master it together.